Hello, Great Valley. My name is Paul Gundersen. I'm one of the elders at the church. The purpose of this video is to provide an update on the search and transition processes that are now well underway. Now, as we start talking through the search then, as we begin the process of searching for Keith's successor, we're all aware that we've just concluded a nomination and voting process. And to all the nominees, I say thank you. Thank you for your willingness to serve on the pastor search committee. Thank you for your willingness to devote your time and your energy, your discernment, and so on to this process. Serving is a big commitment. For those now seated on the PSC, we look forward to hearing from you soon about your progress as a committee. No pressure at all. And we pray for you. We will be praying for you regularly throughout this process. Now that the PSC has been formed, let's focus the rest of this video on the transition. Now, about the transition, well, what exactly am I talking about? Well, it is the period beginning on June the 1st and continuing until such time as we have called Great Valley's next pastor. Now, a couple of key points about this transition. As the congregation is responsible for the search process, the session is responsible for the transition itself. As the session has thought through many options these past few months, it really came down to how we answered two questions. What would we do? First, did we want an interim pastor? Or, second, did we want to go with a team approach? Regarding an interim pastor, the challenge here is that many times interim pastors are brought in from the outside, and they may not generally be known by those in the congregation. On the other hand, the session has settled on moving forward with a team pastor approach where pastors from the congregation, who are generally known by the congregation, will serve. The roles that they will fill are preaching, teaching, pastoral care, and administration. Now, the session has made a decision about who these pastors are, and so you should rightfully ask, well, who are they? And they are Paul Reeder, Paul Toms, and Bob Scott. Now, a little about each of them. As most know, Paul Reeder has been a pastor at Great Valley for a while, and he's served in ministry for 20 plus years. He will maintain his current responsibilities. Paul Toms has been a pastor for 50 years and served at Great Valley from 2014 to 2016 when we were searching then in the process that led to Keith being called. And Bob Scott has been in the ministry for 35 years, and he is mostly known at Great Valley for the efforts in Christian education and his occasional preaching. Keith's responsibilities will largely transition to Paul Toms and to Bob Scott. Now, as we move into this next season, a few final points. Keith will continue serving faithfully until the end of May. The team pastor approach will help guide us forward until our next pastor is called. And the pastors will slowly ramp up their efforts beginning in April and May and will be fully responsible for Keith's activities in June and beyond. The end goal is that we have continuity in preaching and teaching and pastoral care and administration. We want you to know as a session that this process has been handled thoughtfully, prayerfully, and deliberately. And finally, while there remain many details that have to be addressed behind the scenes, our mission as a church remains the same now as it was for those early settlers in 1710, and that is to teach and preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. Now, as I conclude, I'm asking you all to be in prayer in three areas. First, please pray for Keith and Patty as they transition into this new season of life of retirement. Second, please pray for the pastor search committee as they begin their efforts and get started on the formal search process. Third, please pray for Paul Reeder, Paul Toms, and Bob Scott as they enter the season of aiding the church during the transition period. And then finally, just to say that as a church, God has been faithful to Great Valley over these many years, for generations, and we trust Him to continue leading us in the future. So all that said, everyone, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for additional updates as we move forward together.